Okay, in the last session we discussed about, hello? Okay, in the last session we discussed about the two events, search unit and search cell. Now today we will start with the second general area before page display, row select. In the row select, when the row select will fire, in any of the action modes, update, display all and correction. Why not in add mode? Why? Because it's a row select. You are selecting a row. That means it's already available in the database. Simple logic. First of all, where we can see the row select. Here, whenever you searched, okay, one sec, I will try to. Whenever the search results are displayed in front of you, if you clicked one of the search result to enter into the component, then the row select will fire. Here, whenever you click one of the search result in the update display all or correction action modes, row select will fire. Number of events will fire. Whenever you clicked one of the search results, all these events will fire in an order. Row select, pre-built, field default, everything. But first event is the row select. What it will do? It's used to filter out the rows of data as they are being read into the component buffer. These two functions we will use to filter out the rows in row select event. Discard row, stop fetching. Yes, discard row, stop fetching. Discard row function in row select people code causes the component process to skip the current row of data. Stop fetching stops a series of rows. If you go to the example here, very occasionally we will write the code in the row select. That's why I'm explaining the example in the PPT. Here if you see, 4 employees are there in the component search, 10, 20, 30 and 40. The 20 employee details are like this. Name, employee salary and department ID. Whenever you are writing a code in the row select, what they are writing? They are not talking about a employee. They are talking about department ID. That means number of employees may have the same department. Who all the employees are having the same department, then discard the row. What will happen if I am writing the discard row function here? I am trying to open the employee again. The details are not displaying for me. That means here, you know one thing, data is still there in the database. Data is not deleted from the database. We are just skipping the row display in the front end. That's it. That means we are filtering. The data by using the row select. Very occasionally we will use this event. Nothing too much worry about it. The next event is the pre-build. That means whenever you picked one row of data, first row select will fire. If everything goes well, next pre-build will fire. Pre-build. How many places we can see the pre-build? Only one place. That's a component specific event. And it is used to hide and unhide the variables. Used to hide and unhide the pages. It's also used to set some variables. Pre-build event fires before the rest of the component build events fires. What is the meaning of component build? Whenever you picked one of the search results, it will try to get the data based on the keys available in the records. Okay, here this is our selection. Okay, we are selecting employee ID number 1. It will try to hit the database and it will try to get the data with respect to the employee ID. It will try to get the data of childs with respect to the primary key of the employee, primary key of the component in the level 0. That means it's building the buffer. Before all that, pre-build event will fire. Now, only associated with the components. Yes, already I told you. Even in our component categorization chart, you can see pre-build is only associated with the component. It's used to hide and unhide the pages. Here we have 2 pages. In this, we have 2 pages. If you see this example, employee page and department page. Now, what they written in the pre-build. Ampersand user ID equal to percentile operator ID. Okay, come here. The same code we will write. Why? Because we have two pages in our component. Okay, view people code, pre-build of the component. Simple. Ampersand user ID equals to percentile operator ID. Any one of you please tell me what is ampersand user ID, what is percentile operator ID?
Ampersand is like the current operator who is logging into the pay component.
What is
whatever we are storing into the user ID, that's correct. What is the value is coming to that percentage operator, we are storing into the ampersand user ID.
Okay. What type of variable it is, percentile operator ID?
It's a system variable, no?
Then what about the ampersand user ID?
That is the bind variable.
Bind variable. Okay. What type of data it will store?
It is a character, no?
How do you say it's character? Where you define its character?
Because the operator ID is like a character. I know, that's why I'm telling about it.
No, that's what I'm saying. How does the system knows about it? You are not defined, right? Even in the PPT also, you see, they have not defined. It's a character, it's a number, it's date, right? Then how system reacts? Okay, let's try to validate the syntax. Have you observed here? What is the meaning of auto declaration?
Because some of the system, like a percentage of the system, maybe it is the meta SQL is automatically taking like auto declared.
Yes, you're almost there. Auto declaration is in the sense, if it is coming as a character, it is retrieving the character. The output is character from here. It will store in a character format. If output is in the number, if output is in a date, based on that, it will be auto declared.
Okay.
Okay. Next statement, what they written? If ampersand user ID equals to, let's say our employee ID is PS, then, okay, Visible equal to false. Simply drag and drop salary page dot visible equals to false. And if. Okay, we are done. Now, if you are asking me a question, Venkat, why don't we use if percentile operator ID equals to PS directly? Yes, you can. You can directly use if percentile operator ID equal to PS. But for a better understanding, what is user defined? This is user defined variable. This is system variable. Whenever you see ampersand, then you can confirm it's a user defined variable. Percentile, yes, it's a predefined variable. System variable. Now, let's try to fire it.
Venkat, I have a question.
Please.
Suppose instead of the one user, can I put the like a role?
Absolutely. Depends on your choice.
Yeah.
Depends on your choice. You can get the role from the role user table, role definition table. Based on the role also you can define.
Yeah, because it's a hard coding sometimes is a bigger problem because the users are.
Yeah, you have a choice. Role definition table is there. Okay, now it's not showing the salary details whenever I logged on with PS. Okay, if I'm logging with this user ID. Okay, now try to access the component. Now it is showing 2 pages. Compensation. Whenever I logged on with PS, it's not showing me the second page. Why? Because we are restricting. That means whenever you are trying to display or hide some functionalities, yes, you can go ahead with pre-built. Field default. Next, that means in the order, whenever you picked one row from the search results, first row select will fire, next pre-built, next field default. Field default is a special event. This event enables you to set up some programmatically default values. When it will fire, whenever I'm in the add mode, absolutely, you're going to defaulting some values. That means you 100% will fire in the add mode, not in all the update action modes. Not in the update action modes. Now, is there any restriction for the field default? Not a restriction, the functionality. When it will fire. Okay, as of now, in our component, whenever we are trying to log on, whenever we are trying to enter a new row of data into a component, as of now, 7 rows are there. Whenever I am trying to add 8th row, it is showing the system date, 10th of April, it's displaying. Now, my client is requesting, I don't want to display the 10th of April, I would like to display one day before system date. 9th of April. Then what we can do? Yes, simple, we can go ahead to the field default. Yes, why? Because we are expecting the value to be defaulted. Then go to the employee table. Joining date. Field default. Okay. Simply, I am giving the joining date dot value equals to percentile date minus 1. As simple as that. Now, try to find out. Add a new value. Still it is showing 10th of April. Now I am getting it out. This code is firing or not? Okay. Let's try to fire the win message. You can fire a sample win message also. Like Now, is it firing? No. If it's fired, then this win message will come. Why it is not firing? Here is the condition. The page field is still blank after applying any default specified in the record field properties. Have you remember how the current date is coming? Venkat, we given a property. If you are giving any default in the record field property, system consider this is the primary option. Default value you mentioned in the record field properties, system consider this is the primary. If there is no default value, occur in the record field properties, then only it will try to fire the field default people code. Now, remove it. I am removing the percentage date option from the record field property. Now, try to fire it. Have you observed? Field default is firing. Earlier it was not there. Earlier this code was not fired. Now it is showing the 9th of April. That means very, very important conclusion. If there is any default specified in the record field properties, system consider that is the primary. There is no default in the record field properties, then system will go to the people code and it will try to fire something. All of you clear about it? Why? Because sometimes in the real time this may occur. Subhash, any questions on this?
Yes. Okay, clear.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay, any restrictions in the field default? Here, if you go to this, advantages of field default is nothing. Data entry becomes easy, contains meaningful values in the field rather than just leaving the field blank. That means simple as that. You can apply some default values. You can suggest the user to enter this type of data in the field. Restriction, an error or warning. First of all, tell me, by using field default, are we validating anything? Are we validating the stuff? No, not at all. We are not at all validating the stuff. Then, why should we write error and warning? Error, warning. Generally, in which scenario we will prefer? Whenever we are validating the data, whenever we are validating the entries. But still we have not entered into the page. That means we are not on the page. We are not on the page so far. Where you are validating? What you are validating? That means here we are not validating anything. That's why if you are writing any error or warning statements in the field defaults, seriously it will cause a runtime error. Cancellation of the component. That's why they are suggesting don't write error or warning messages in the field default event. Here, we already practiced this one example. Next, field formula. Field formula is a vestige of much earlier versions of the PeopleSoft and is not used in recent applications. Nowadays, we are not using the field formula. Instead of field formula, we are preferring row init and field change events. Still, we are using the field formula. Yes. Still, we are using the field formula. to store the functions. To store the functions. Funclib underscore, with this name, some records are there in the PeopleSoft. If you see, some records under the name funclib underscore, sorry, funclib underscore. One sec. Funclib underscore. Have you observed? All these are the function library records. Funclib is nothing but function library. All these are the records available. Okay, funclib underscore HR. People code functions HR. Have you observed? This record is holding almost 104 fields. If you go to the people code, most of the people code is in the field formula. If you open the employee ID field, function, they are storing a function here in this place. That means still we are using the field formula event to store the functions. Until, there is no other usage of the field formula. If anybody is asking in interviews, why PeopleSoft avoiding the field formula event? Any specific reason behind that? Yes. Generally, they used field formula. Earlier, they used for the basic calculations, but it is not firing as per the order, as per the component processor flow. That's why we are using the field formula event to store the functions in the funclib records. That's it. Next event is the row init. Here in the name itself, row initiation, initiating a new row. Initiating a new row. Where we will initiate a new row? Yes, 100%. Here we will initiate a new row, add a new value. It's nothing but add a new row. Venkat, whenever I am clicking add, directly it is coming here. Venkat, why don't we make employee is a key required field? Yes, absolutely. Without any doubt, double click the employee ID, go to the edits, make it as required. Then it won't create any issues. Add a new value. Field is required. Okay. Here observe carefully, we have 7 values, 7 employee IDs are there. Now I would like to add 8th employee, but manually I am adding 8. Venkat, I need a functionality. It should increment the employee ID as per the last employee ID stored in the system. That means the dynamic increment from the last saved database, a value in the database. Yes, there is a condition. Whenever we are initiating a new row, row init event fires the first time the component processor encounters a row of data. Yes, whenever we are adding a new value, it will encounter a new row of data. Now, it's not a field specific. Why? Because row init, we are talking about a row. Row means multiple fields available in a row. Next, what is it used for? Initial state of component controls. It will use to complete the initialization of data on the row. Restrictions. Again, the same concept, error and warning. Here we are initiating a row. We are not validating anything. That's why please don't use any error and warning messages. Now, as per our requirement, my user is expecting the employee ID should be incremented. That means it should be +1 to the last saved employee ID in the database. Now, how can I do that? First of all, okay, let's try to open the query, and we will try to generate one SQL. We will try to generate one SQL which will get the maximum employee ID from the database. We all of us know the SQL is select max employee ID from the table name. Select max of our employee ID from seven. Okay, simple Venkat, we will go ahead and use this query. Okay, yes, you're right. Employee ID, row init. What is this? You're getting an error. Field is not defined. Have you observed one thing? It's a SQL statement. It will execute properly in the SQL developer or any SQL editor. Where we are in the people code editor. How people code executes the SQL statements? It won't execute directly. Why? Because it's not a SQL editor. It's a people code editor. Then we need some special function to execute the SQL. SQL exec. This is not the only function. This is one function, one of the function, which will execute the SQL within the double quotes. SQL exec select max employee ID from employee table. Whenever it is executing, it will return a value. The value I am storing in max ID. That means the maximum employee ID. I will store the value. Now it will accept your entry. Whenever this people code portion runs, this statement will execute and it will return a value. The value will store in this variable. Please refer the people book today to understood the SQL exec completely. There is a drawback of SQL exec. What is the drawback? It will return only one row of data. Whenever you are writing the select statement in the SQL exec, it will return only one row of data. Venkat, my select statement is returning 100 rows. It won't bother about it. It will pick the first row and it will give you as a result. Venkat, my select statement is executed. I am trying to execute my select statement completely. It should fetch 100 rows. Then first go ahead and read the function SQL exec. It has 2 to 3 pages in the people book. It has that much of importance. There itself you will find some alternative functions which is used to fetch multiple rows. If you are writing any data manipulation commands, insert, delete, update in SQL exec, it will operate on the multiple rows, but only in the select scenario, it will fetch only one row of data. Now, okay, we got the maximum employee ID from the database. In the row init, we are writing the code. Next, what we have to write? Very simple as that. Employee ID dot value equals to max ID plus 1. We are done. Now, go ahead and try to add a new value. Have you observed? It's showing employee ID is 8. But as a user, I can change it. My client is again, he's asking, why should we give editable mode for employee ID? Then very simple, here itself, we have two options, gray employee ID. Gray is a function which will turn this field into read only like this. You can't change it. You can't change it. You can see the field, you can see the same field structure as before, but you can't edit it. One more type of read only is it's a property we can apply, employee ID dot display only equals to true. It's a property here like this. Only appearance, look and feel is changed. Now try to add a new value. Okay, test 08 blah blah blah. Okay, just save it. We successfully saved the data. Now if you run the query, it will result 8 maximum employed. Now add a new value 9. Now we successfully completed the row init discussion. Now try to open one employee ID. Anything you observed? This employee ID incrementing. It should not. As per our expectations, it should not. Have you observed? I am selecting the first employee ID. It's incrementing to 9. It should not. What's happening? How we will... please.
I think we did not put in the add mode. I think that's correct.
How should I put? Where should
because in the people code, I think you put the last number plus 1, and you have to put the percentage mode equal to add, then only it will max ID plus 1. Then it won't increment in the update display mode in the correction mode.
You're right. That means here itself we have to restrict the user. Percentile if percentile mode equals to add, then only apply this logic. Excuse me. Now simply go ahead and check it. Very simple. If you open the employee ID here, it will show you as it is. Whenever you are in the add any value, still it is showing the same functionality what we designed. Why I did this exercise? Why? Because sometimes you written the code perfectly. That means whenever we are writing only these 3 lines of code, yes, we are expecting, okay, we expected, okay, this functionality is working fine as per this direction, everything looks good, fine. Maybe some other portion of the page might corrupted, some other functionality of the page might be corrected. That's why if you are writing a code, please try to understood the impact in the sense it's nothing, it may disturb some other functionalities in the same boundary. Try to do one complete round of testing in the component, then it will be clear. This is the row init. We are initiating a row. Have you observed one thing in the row init? They mentioned one statement in the row init. One sec. Where? Okay, based on the statement only. whenever you are trying to insert a new row of data, have you observed one thing? Let us say I am on the page. Add a new row. Here we are initiating a new row. Venkat, it will fire. Rohit, it will fire here. Absolutely, it will fire. Whenever you are adding a new row on the page, within the scroll, yes, row init will fire. Yes, there is a chance of firing the row init, 100%. Just try to remember this point also. Next, post build. Post build event. Hide and unhide the pages. It will fire after all the component build is prepared. Okay, it's available only with the components, or associated only with the components. Next, what type of code? Simply, whenever we are entering into the component, if you would like to see some changes, hide something, or defaulting something, or if you would like to prepare the component display, if you would like to decide something based on some conditions, yes, we can go ahead with the post build. Then here, what they are doing here, they are trying to do some audit. If you are adding a new row of data into the record, who is the operator, at what date and what time they are adding a new row of data into the component. They would like to check it in the post build event. Yes, we can also do that. The same. You can add three fields into your record, like operator ID, date and time. You can add the same logic. You can observe. The post build will fire. If you're asking me to do that, simple as that. If you go to this employee table, insert field user ID, here I am using the same field, date, time, stamp, only one field. Now just save it, alter the table. I am not going to display the fields in the front end. I would like to load the data into these two fields at the time of component entry. Then in the component post build, here I will write any mode is preferable for me. Add, update, any mode, then fine. Add user ID dot value equals to percentile operator ID. Yes. Next, date timestamp dot value equals to percentile date time. We are done. Now, as simple as that, go ahead and try to do some changes in the employee ID number 1 or 2. Okay, 2. Save it. Now go ahead and run the query. Select star from table. Have you observed? Employee number 2 is changed by the user PS at this spot, date timestamp. Where we pushed these two values, where we entered these two values at the time of component entry in the post build. In the front end, you don't know. In the front end, those two values are not displaying, but in the back end, you can check. Next, activate. We all of us know activate is available only with the pages. Only with the pages. There is no other possibility. Each page has its own activate event. Yes. Activate event is fired each time the page gets activated. I will show you. One restriction is there in the activate event. We have three types of pages. We discussed about standard, secondary, and sub pages. Only in the standard and secondary pages we can have a chance to see the activate event, but not in the sub pages. Sub pages is not supported for activate event. Venkat, first of all, the event is available in the sub pages. If this is our sub page, open the sub page, try to open the page people code. there is a portion available, but it won't support, it won't fire. Why? Because it's a sub page. Secondary page and main page. Secondary page and main page. Yes, you can use it. This is the restriction. Now, what type of code we will write in the activity? Page specific people code. Page specific people code. Now, if I am getting a requirement, like let us say, I would like to hide this active checkbox. Or I would like to hide the comments. Comments is, I think, we removed already from the page. Now, I would like to hide this active checkbox from the page. Now, we will go to the basics. When, where, and what conditions. In the when condition, yes, I understood the requirement clearly. Whenever my end user is coming onto the page, I don't want to see the active checkbox on the page. For all of the employees, they are not saying for a single user. For all of the employees. Now, where we have to write the code. In the search mode, no. Before page display, yes. Why? Because once page displayed in front of the user, we can't do anything. That means there is a possibility of code firing in these events, row select to activate. Then go one by one. Row select? No. It's not suitable. Why? Because we are handling with the rows here. Pre-build? Yes, this is suitable. Why? Because pre-build, already I mentioned, we can write hide and unhide statements. Field default? No, it is not suitable. Why? Because we are defaulting something. Field formula, we can ignore it. Row in it, we are initiating a row, it is not suitable. Post build, yes, we can write hide and unhide. Activate, yes, we can write. Now, Venkat, 3 events. Pre-build, post build, activate. As per my experience, I will suggest these two, not this one. Yes, I will suggest these two, not this one. Venkat, why? I will show you with an example. View page people code. In the page people code, I am writing a win message. Observe carefully. In the win message, I am writing activate is firing. Now, in the component people code, in the post build, I am writing post build, and in the pre-build I am writing pre-build. Now try to open the component. Observe carefully. I am opening employee number 1. As per the order, first pre-build is firing. Yes, absolutely it is firing. Next post build is firing. Yes, post build is firing. Next activity is firing. Yes. Venkat, why activity is not suitable? Why you are preferring component specific events here? Yes, coming to the point. I am going back to the activate event. Very important statement. Activate event is fired each time the page gets activated. We are on the page. That means page is displaying in front of the user. That means as per our expectation, activate is done, pre-build, post-build activity is done. Yes, it's proved already. Why? Because all messages are fired. Page is displayed in front of the user and waiting for the user action. Okay, as a user, I'm going into the compensation. Okay, I modified something here. And I'm coming back to the biographical details page. Activity is firing. Activate is firing. This is the meaning of the statement. Activate event is fired each time the page gets activated. Each time the page gets activated. It's proved. That means activate is firing every time, whenever we are coming onto the page. Every time, whenever we are coming onto the page. If you are writing a code, field hide, that means employee table active field hide. What will happen? It won't create any bigger issue. But what you are expecting, active checkbox should be hidden whenever you are coming onto the page. If you are writing code in activate, every time, okay, in between of the pages, you are shuffling. Activate is firing. It will fire the statement again, hide the active checkbox. Why? Why should I fire the statement again and again and again every time whenever I'm coming onto the page? It's a one-time hiding. Yes, in that particular scenario, I will prefer post-build and pre-build. Now I'm getting it out. Then Venkat, what type of code we will write in Activate? I already mentioned one point. Page-specific coding. What is page-specific coding? Conditional. Like let us say the same active hide checkbox hiding based on the allowance amount. Just imagine like that. If the allowance amount is greater than 100, hide the active checkbox. If it's not greater than 100, then don't hide the active checkbox. Yes, it's a conditional based hiding. That means whenever we are changing the compensation page allowance amount, based on that, whenever we are coming on to the biographical details page, we are going to decide active checkbox display. Then, yes, we have to write code in the activate event. Why? Because whenever we are coming on to the page, every time I would like to check based on some condition, I would like to display my field or not. I'm deciding based on some condition. The condition is within the component or within the page, something like that. Whenever we are coming on to the page, we would like to check something and we would like to decide something. Then we will prefer the activate. It's a one-time firing, then go for the pre-build or post-build. All of you are clear on this point or any issue?
Venkat, I have a question for that one. We can write in the record people code or not? Like we can, in the component level, we can write that one also, is only the page level.
Which one?
You are telling about, suppose something you are giving, like validation of something, like something is something, then you are telling the
if you are writing that particular code in the post build, it will fire at the time of entering into the component. It won't fire again and again. You are shuffling in between the pages. Got my point?
No. I'm asking about the activate. You are telling the activate.
No, activate is available only in the page level, right? That's it. This event.
So it's not in the component.
No.
So it's not in the component.
Only available in the page level. Here, observe carefully.
Oh.
No, activate.
Okay.
We have a people code chart, right? I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Here you can see at the last slide. Here you can see. Activate is available only with the page. Like pre-build and post-build are only in the component level. Activate is only in the page level.
Okay. Then there is no chart.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't. Oh, okay. I have not forwarded these two PPTs to all of you, right? I will send you that today. this PPT and this PPT, what we are discussing. These two PPTs I will send you after this session. Not a problem. Sorry. Okay. With this, we completed the discussion about the activate. Now, okay, do one thing. First, practice all these events what we discussed today.